Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today we're going to make a dog in polymer clay. I'm working in Sculpey 3 brand and the color black because I like the way the finishes look on it. Before you get started, you want to knead the clay, which also conditions it, gets all the ingredients mixed up in it properly so that it bakes and sculpts well. And then we'll start by rolling a ball. Just a starting point. And then we're going to roll it a little bit like this to create the neck. If you notice my hands shaking a little bit, it's because I'm nervous. I developed that little problem and I just keep going. So if you could bear with me, I appreciate it. Okay, now I'm gonna, this is the neck and this is the beginning of the head. And now I'm gonna pull out a little bit to create the nose. And I'm just gonna kind of smooth it a little bit here. Just forming the nose and the head a little bit, kind of pressing in. Just, the pressing can kind of smooth the clay a little bit, and also just get it into the shape I want. Okay, next I'm going to take these two fingers, the thumb and the forefinger, and just kind of pinch there to form a little bit of the upper lip. See how I'm doing that? Now I'm going to take a little piece of clay and I want to make the bottom jaw. So I just roll it kind of an oblong shape of clay like that. And that's what it looks like. And just press it in on the bottom underneath the where we formed the lip. And then I'm going to blend it in to the neck. You can see where we're at there. Press it up a little bit. Okay, now I want to talk to you about what we're doing here. First of all, is something called simple shapes, where we roll noodles and oblong shapes and balls and that sort of thing to create to build the face of the dog. So if you could visualize for a moment a dog and his upper lip, what that would be. It would be basically a noodle, a flat noodle of clay. So that's what we're going to make next. So if you were able to do that, if you were able to visualize every time that you made a little part what you had to make, it would make a lot easier to sculpt pieces for yourself. So I'm rolling a noodle of clay. Let me just see if it's long enough. Yeah, it's long enough. So I'm going to put it on above the jaw and kind of flatten it there. And then you can blend it into the upper jaw. So it looks something like that. You can take a sculpting tool and just kind of carve it in there a little bit. Yeah, they're going now, let me tell you what. So I just have to live with that, and it's hard to, I get nervous in front of the camera now, unfortunately. I didn't used to, but I do now, and it's a bit of a problem. So now I'm putting the nose on, flat piece of a flat ball. And blending it in. And then I'm just going to blend this in with a tool here. Now, on a dog's face, the lip is split here. And then nostrils. Like that. And then also there's a split where the nose, right here on the nose. Just kind of blending that in there. Okay, that's kind of where how the jaw on the front of the face looks. Now we're going to take a ball tool and make the indentations for the eye sockets. There we go. Straighten up this nose a little bit. And then we're going to take a bowl of clay and put it in the eye socket just to see if it fits, and then set that on the table and make another one the same size. It's just easier that way, so you get them both the same size. And they look about the same, so put those in the eye socket. And then we're going to take, I think I'll use my other ball tool for this. It's a little bit bigger than the paintbrush end. And I'm just going to put pupils of the eyes, and I'm going to have them pointed off to the left. Like that. That's what it looks like so far. And then, let me just pull them up close for you. Next we're going to roll a ball of clay and then into a noodle like this. And put it over the eye. But we want to make sure we cover the uppermost portion of the pupil of the eye, the little hole in there. And then blend that into the head. Blending is just drawing the clay from one part that you added to the main part of the critter or whatever you're making. It's called blending. See how that looks? And then he actually is kind of cute too. I get a little bit more clay here, and roll another noodle. And if you miss your mark and you're above the pupil, which is fairly easy to do, I just did it myself, then you can take your ball tool again and go back and raise it a little bit. So like this one. And this one. Now he can look kind of angry if you leave these eyelids with that little gap in between. If you leave it there, he can look kind of angry. So you can take your sculpting tool and just blend that out. And then do it at the bottom too. And you see that takes that meanness out of them pretty fast. I want to try to get I hope I didn't go off camera there. I was wondering about that. It's sometimes hard to pay attention and look through the camera. Make sure you're not doing that. I'm just still blending that gap there. And he looks kind of cute. Okay, so now we're going to start the body. Get some clay, and you know, if you haven't been working with the clay, the polymer clay, if you haven't been working with it, it can get a little stiff while you're working on something else. So you might want to go ahead and knead it again, condition it again before you move on. Let's make sure this is going to be big enough for his head. It looks like it, but I might add a little bit more. So just get that. Okay, I'm going to shape the clay into a ball to start. Just get it into a ball. Make sure it's fairly smooth, because that's kind of the starting point. And then I'm going to roll it into a cone shape. Like that. And I'm going to check it again to see how it is for his head. It's a little bit too big, so I'm going to take some off there. See how that looks. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, it's really good when you when you're putting two pieces of clay together to score them. Score them really good, and then twist them together so they join really good, and then blend them together so they become one. I'm just thinking, you know, I do say this from time to time when I'm working on a piece. It's just moving around a little bit, and his head is already tilted. So we tilt it a little bit more, like that. He's really, really cute. He's really pretty cute. Okay, now if you're working on a table where the clay is sticking to it, you can put a piece of paper between the table and the sculpture, and it's less likely to stick to it. It won't stick to it, in fact. It'll stick to the paper, but you can just peel it off, and so it's really not a problem. And we're going to put his ears on in a little while, but first I want to get his legs going here. So I'm going to start with a ball of clay, and I'm going to make two the same size. Just knead them a little bit and get it conditioned a little bit. And roll a ball. I'm rolling it off camera because there's only so much space here. Actually, take some of that off there. Try to make them the same size. These are for the hips. Okay. And then you can flatten it out a little bit. I remember that somebody said they didn't get this when I was explaining it before with the cat. So I want to make sure it's really clear. So the back of the flat piece or the hip now. We want to squeeze it so it's shaped like a wedge. See? Like that? It's like a wedge. And decide where we want it to go. It'll be on the right side of the body. You can go ahead and score it. Score it on the body. And then with the wedge part, the skinny part, go to the back with that. And blend it in. And you definitely want to blend it in at the bottom also. And you can take a sculpting tool like this and blend it in at the front. So it's blended in all the way around. And then you can make your next one. Make it into a wedge. So it's round. It's round like that. But it's shaped like a wedge. Okay? Like a piece of pie. And you score it. Score the body. And score the wedge. The hip. And then put it on and blend it in. There goes my phone, and I turned it down, but it's vibrating. Oh well, what can we do? I bet you it's a telemarketer. And carve it in the front. That's just blending basically, but blending in a small area with the tool. Sometimes I refer to it as carving. And then I just kind of press it in to get it to come in close to the body. Okay, next we're going to work on the feet. So we need 2 balls the same size. So I'll roll 2 balls, and that's a little bit on the big side. So let me shorten that down a little bit, slim it down a little bit, and make another ball here. And then roll it into an oblong shape, like that. Another one. These are for the back feet. And go ahead and score them really good. And then twist them into place and blend them in. If you can't reach it with your finger, or if your finger's too big or something, you can use a tool for that. But you know, really the best thing for you is to use your fingers as much as you can. They're really great tools, because that's going to get you used to sculpting with them, and you're going to get better at it. everyone needs practice. I need practice. Everyone needs practice. That's what's going to make this happen for you, is practicing. Until then, be patient with yourself. I always say that. I don't always say it, but I say it frequently enough. You got to be patient with yourself. Because what I can do, when I do it, it looks really easy. But when you do it, if you haven't been practicing, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So the best thing to do is to make lots of things. There we go. Now I want to give him kind of a chest here, and so I'll take a piece of clay. I'm not sure if this is too big. This might be a little bit big. Let me take it down a little bit. Roll it into a ball like that. And then put it on, and actually remember the score, so I forgot there, and we'll both don't want to forget here. There we go. Just using the tool to blend and carve it in. It's kind of a big chest, but I like it. Now we're going to take two balls of clay the same size. But before I make them the same size, make two of them, I'm going to make one. And let's see if it's the right size for me. Still a little bit too big. I don't want it to be too big, but I kind of want it to be fairly stout, because this is more like a puppy, and puppies have big legs and big feet. So that's about the right size. So you saw the process that I went through to decide on that. And now I take the ball, roll it back into a ball, and roll another ball the same size. Then I end up with 2 feet, 2 legs the same size. A little bit of something on there. I think we need a little bit more on there. So they are about the same size. And I'm going to just place them on there and just see how they look. Still kind of going through that process to decide if they look right. And they do, and now I'll take them off and also have an idea of where to score. and score them. And blend them in. This one too. Score it. Blend them in and carve them in, cut them in. You can call it cutting if you want, and you have to cut. You take your tool and you cut in, carve in, whatever you want to call it. But it has to be done because it'll make it a lot more sturdy. And also on the bottom, see where they join the feet there, join the body there? You can take a little piece of clay and make a bridge. So that, because if they're off by themselves like that, they could break. Less likely to break off if you do this. I'll come back to that in a little bit. But that's basically what you do. Just make a bridge and fill it in. Let's go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. You might need that. A little bit here. You can fill this in. You see how I'm doing that? Filling it in, carving it in. Make a little bridge to bridge that gap. And then carve it in. Just be easier to do it with a tool. Sometimes it's hard to get your fingers in there. But remember to use your hands as much as possible. Once you get it to where you want it, just take your finger or your thumb and just blend it so it's more smooth. Just put that there, and then and any little gaps or holes or anything like that, you should fill them up. It's going to make the piece a lot stronger. So there's a little hole back in there, so I'm filling it in. You can go back and take your thumb and you can press where there are gouges or anything like that. You can press them with your thumb. You also can go like this, and that will smooth them more. And then you can smooth them with water and alcohol, or just water or just alcohol. But I don't recommend using just alcohol because it can really cut into the clay. So then we're going to work on the ears. And I'm rolling a ball of clay like that. Two balls of clay the same size. Okay, we've got two balls of clay, and we're going to roll them into little cone shapes. And I like to make ears a little bit thicker than they would be normally, and the reason why is because again, it's just something else that can break off if you something happens. So I think I'm going to put the ears like that, and score it where it's going to join the head and the ear. And then put it on there and kind of twist it so it's in there really good. And then you can take your tool and blend in the ear to the head. You can also blend it with your thumb or your finger. Whew, hands. His ears are going to be kind of big, but I think it'll be alright, because what I want to do is bend him down a little bit like that. So, and roll it into a cone shape. You can kind of flatten it on the bottom so it's like a triangle. Score it. Score it where it joins the head. And twist it into shape. Turn the ears down a little bit. You could have one standing up. You could have, you could do it any number of ways, but that's how I'm going to do it. I blended it while I was facing front because I just was able to do that. So I got most of it, but I had to do some more. And now the tail. But before I do that, I think what I'm going to do is, sometimes dogs have a little knowledge bump on the back of their head. Let me just see how that's going to look. I'm rolling a little ball of clay. blending it in. That looks pretty good. Blending it into the ears, into the head. Yeah, I like that. This sort of adds to the personality. And then we got the tail. Yeah, it's just going to be a little short tail, I think. So roll a ball of clay and then into a noodle. And there are different ways you can do it. You can do it kind of going up. You can do it going to the side. I think I'm going to do it going to the side, so I want to score the dog, the body, and the tail. I just want to make sure it comes off the center of the back there. And just kind of have it kind of blending it into the bottom. Kind of just smoothing a little bit here. Now, you can, there's a couple things you can do to kind of get it ready to smooth out. If you want to smooth it, I mean, I often leave sculpting marks in and all kinds of texture and that sort of thing, but I want to show you what you can do to make it smooth if you want to. So, remember I told you that you can blend out marks. You can pat it like that to get it a lot smoother than it is. And just go around and blend it a lot. You also can add texture. I'm going to do a little bit to show you what you can do, but you can take a knife. I usually take a bigger knife like this. It's not so sharp, and just draw lines in like that, if you would prefer, so it looks like hair. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and then you can also use alcohol mixed with water, or you can just use water. This is just water here, and dip the brush in, and you try to get off the excess. You don't want to get it soaking wet, and then just brush it to get it smooth if you want it smooth. But again, don't get it soppy wet. Just, because it really works better if it's not soaking wet. And that's basically how you do it. A couple things is, of course, the eyes, the nose, detailed areas like that. You don't want to get much in there with the water or alcohol, because it will just make a mess of what you did, and then you would have to go back and do it again. So just keep that in mind. So here he is, really close up. There's the tail. I really like the knowledge bump. It's pretty cool. I like his face too. His face is really cool. So that's about it. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I do many videos along these lines. And please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought about it. And leave me a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Be creative, have fun, and have a great day.